What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Championship week continues. We got the man, Ahmmon Richards. He's going to be talking about all things Miami, Indiana, bringing you guys the insight that you love every Tuesday. Also, going to talk some Portal. I should lead with some Portal. We've been leading with Portal lately because we could talk about this chance to go to a sixth national championship till we're blue in the face. We talk about the potential backup left guard in the Portal, and that thing's getting thousands and thousands of hits. So we're starting with the Portal, and then, of course, we'll talk the game with Ahmmon Richards, some folks who stay delivering every single time. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Pete, hop in here.
D, good morning.
Morning. How we feeling this morning?
Feeling great, man. Game day morning here. Well, first of all, if anyone had the pleasure of watching the left side of that Texans offensive line right now, you're waking up happy. But then we got game day, Canes Hoops game day tonight against Notre Dame. Very winnable game. You have to be careful if you're a referee in this one. Micah Shrewsbury, Notre Dame's coach, may physically go after you. He's done that already once this year. So hopefully we create those sort of frustrations for him and his team tonight on the road in South Bend.
Yeah, shout out to Canes Hoops and your boy Titus Howard there with the Texans. But let's get into it, Pete, because there was some big news yesterday that Jordan Seaton, originally from Washington, D.C., then IMG, signed with Colorado, became one of the best tackles in the country, looks like a future first-round pick, has jumped in the portal. He has trained in Miami in the past. He is friends with Francis Malinois. They trained together in the IPF. And I know those images of Jordan Seaton in the IPF were circulating on Twitter yesterday. Now, Miami brought in Josiah Thompson from South Carolina as a potential option at left tackle, with Markel Bell looking less likely to return for a multitude of reasons, really related to his waiver and to the draft, etc. With Josiah Thompson, I thought this was going to be a fit. I thought it was going to be a Cane, but following his visit, my understanding is there's been sort of a mutual parting of ways. Let's say Miami's moving on to other targets. So Jordan Seaton, got a lot of questions about him. My view of this thing is that when it comes to big money, with Jordan Seaton will command top of the market type of money. Maybe it's some record-breaking money, given he's a elite left tackle. I think more likely you would see that level of commitment to quarterback or defensive end, names we've been talking about, rather than left tackle. I think more likely Miami brings in maybe an interior lineman to add to the depth in that room, like a big physical guard, and then moves Matt McCoy to left tackle, which quite frankly, I've always felt he was a better tackle than a guard. So that's kind of how I see that one shaking out. I don't know if we're going to be players for Seaton just because the price tag is enormous, and not that Miami is not spending. Miami is going to spend top of the market for positions, but I think that's more likely to come at the quarterback position and the defensive end position. So Pete, I'll get your thoughts there.
Yeah, that pretty much to me hits a nail on the head there. Everyone, of course, was going crazy as soon as he hit the portal, as they should. It makes a lot of sense. You've seen him here around Miami before. He knows CC very well, so it would be a very easy, hey, look, I'm stepping out as the star offensive lineman. You're stepping in there, and you'll be the consensus first team preseason, left tackle on the returning national championship contending team here. You obviously understand Miami's development at O-line, but for everything you just said, I agree. Two teams I'm watching early here, from what I heard last night, Texas, Bama. Texas, we understand, will always be in the mix for these big money guys. Bama, they're kind of trying to sell him on being the Caden Proctor replacement. I'd rather be someone coming to University of Miami. I don't know if the Caden Proctor replacement's a great sell. He'll be a first-round pick still, but I agree with you. Like, you've invested a lot in the high school ranks in terms of your money into the offensive line, D. You really, I think, have to almost trust it at this point. Not to say they won't pick someone else up. Maybe, like you said, they get a McCoy, move him out to tackle, and then you bring in an interior lineman to bolster that area of the field. But you've invested a lot there. You now have a lot of production going out the door on the defense side of the ball. You said defensive end. To me, it's like Damon Wilson's almost an absolute must get right now.
Canes Cast loving this sign behind me, asking me where can I get one. You know, really, the coolest thing about it is it lights up. I'm working on the timing of it, or the some of the camera stuff, so we don't get these little waves here. But pretty cool, right? There's
yeah, looks great.
Different settings too. But we're playing with that. But yeah,
I don't know if you have anything else to add there, but there was, of course, a commitment last night, which I thought was a big one.
Which I did a reaction.
We'll that's right. You did, but I think we should still talk.
We'll talk about it here in a second. But I want to just address a comment. Just Jay says we have the money to get Seaton and Wilson. Get both. First of all, if anyone has any thoughts on money and you're not contributing, CanesConnection.com/CIS. Be part of the solution. You know, I'm always going to say CanesConnection.com/CIS is my official NIL collective. Whenever someone says we need money to do X, Y, Z, I will always point out, let's join together and be part of it with CanesConnection.com/CIS. So that's the first part about it. This other part, remember, when you talk about these big ticket items, there's a reason why the NFL, they don't all sign the best, free agent at every position, because there's a limit, right? The money is, everybody's got a limit on money. It'd be great to have the best player at every position that's available, but that's not always how it is. So remember, Miami has Malachi Toney, who is going to be one of the top 5 players in college football next year. I think, Pete, that's a fair statement.
And deserves to be paid on the echelon, and will be. So
that's just how it is.
I think people keep forgetting about that. Like, we forget that guys on the team don't stay at the same number sometimes.
You got to think of it
paid, like, if he were to hit the open market, which I'm sure you're about to say, like, he's getting Cam Coleman money.
It's worse than NFL, because in the NFL, like, you could have guys on a bargain deal. Like, let's say, I don't know who's the best free agent, right? Or the best rookie right now. Like, I don't know. I know Buka did pretty good at the beginning of the year. Just someone like that, to use an example. Will Anderson, maybe. Did he resign? So I don't think Will Anderson's re-signed yet. But someone like that, like a rookie contract that plays well, you have them cheap for a while and you could spend on other positions. There's really no rookie contracts in college. Like, if a freshman balls out and is the best player in the world, you're going to pay him the next year. So it's actually harder than NFL in that way. So like you said, when you look at Texas with Cam Coleman, I mean, we have Malachi Toney. So you got to consider that. I think the big money priority positions, in my opinion, and I think this is how sees it. So we're all in the same boat here, Pete. Quarterback, defensive end, just like the NFL. Quarterback, defensive end. Now, left tackle is a premium position, but I think Miami feels they have some in-house talent at tackle that can do the job there. McCoy's first name that jumps out, because I've always said he's better as a tackle than a guard. I remember when he first came to Miami, he was a tackle, and I saw him practice, and he was very, very good there. He's a former tight end. He's huge. He's played guard out of necessity, because you've had Bell and Mauigoa. You can't move Bell elsewhere. Mauigoa is the best in the country. So he's been inside by necessity, but I actually think he's better outside. Very athletic, very big. So if you're picking where are we going to have these big bullets, obviously, and it's the same as the NFL positions. Wide receivers get paid, Malachi Toney, and then quarterback and defensive end. And then you use some of your in-house talent at tackle. I think that's really the approach at tackle.
Yep, agreed. Shout out to Mo Hussein. Says, in Mario I trust. Extend Mario. Nobody's been on it more than Mo Hussein here. So appreciate
it, Bursey boy. Says, D-Money, you and Pete always keep it 100. I appreciate that. And look, we got some comments yesterday, because I was saying, with Sam Levitt, I kind of held some things back. here's what and people were taking a certain way in the comments. What I'll say is, I'm not going to say something that's not true, but I might not always give my full opinion if it's necessary for strategic reasons. You know what I mean? Or other reasons. So
At least you're
that's what I'll say. I won't say something that's wrong, but I'm not going to say everything at all times. How about that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, look, you've been pretty open about the way it's been handled, even before yesterday. Like the QB situation's been handled. I mean,
and that's something that, again, no one wants me to say that. It's not exactly positive, but we had our view that we thought, both of us, should have been, you go get CJ Bailey, lock it up. You don't have to go through this whole late in the portal season.
That's not to say you don't send feelers out elsewhere, right? And try to see if there is something else that is maybe a better option there, if you think that there's something better out there. But if you feel pretty early on that you might be in the same situation that you've been in the last 2 years here, then let's avoid that. And that hasn't been the case here. Because the word I got, and I know you were getting very similar, was we want to wrap this thing up early. And I think, and I said this yesterday, it's almost like, and this word does not always, it's not a flattering word to someone here, but it's almost like a little bit of an arrogance in believing that, hey, we're in the we're on this run now. We had the number 1 QB pick last year. We've now done it with two years in a row with guys that we've kind of rehabbed. They should just come this way. You still have to realize, and this is, it's difficult as a Canes fan to realize it sometimes, but there's other programs that have great things to offer. You understand from the pure football perspective, you have to love, if you're a quarterback, what it is, but a lot of different factors, man. So
100% different factors, different, kids. It's all, every case is different. So,
And what I'll say is this with the portal as a whole too, before we move on to Jarquez Carter real quick here, is, and I'm seeing on the Discord and stuff, people are getting frustrated that, hey, you only have a handful of guys who have committed here, that have transferred, signed, whatever the terminology is here. But the way I look at it, okay, you've had three top 10 classes in the portal the last 3 years. We'll see what that ends up being here. I don't know if they'll end up taking enough to get into that top 10 ranking, but let's see if these evaluations across the country are right. Let's see if schools are spending on the right guys in terms of roster building, because I know that the way that Mario has built this thing seems to be a pretty sustainable model in terms of, if you start overspending on if you go spend $2 million on a safety, it skews the money that you can spend on the defensive end, and that's how you've gotten here, by spending the money in those spots. I'm not saying every move is going to be the right move, D. If a Coy Parrish goes out there and wins a Thorpe Award as one of the most impactful players in college football, you could say it was worth every penny. But if you go spend that money on Coy Parrish, who's your big money addition at defensive end to go replace a Mesidor and a Bain?
Exactly. And who gets paid in the NFL? Do safeties get paid a lot in the NFL? Do they get drafted high in the NFL? Not really. You have Bryce Fitzgerald. He might be the best safety in the country next year. You had Omar Thornton. He's going to be a big-time hitter. Zechariah Poyser comes back. You got young guys. Dylan Day had a nice flash there with that drop pick, but great play on the ball. So we'll see how that position shakes out. Before we get to Mon, I want to and we'll talk about Jarquez Carter too, so I want to get your thoughts, Pete, because I did the reaction. I know you've watched this player a ton. Real quick on the offense. We talked a lot about the defense yesterday. Talked about the offensive line here. Tight end, I think Miami's still looking to add a potential impact tight end, potentially a receiving tight end, which I was surprised by. I think blocking tight end, you talk about a pure blocking tight end, you might see Miami's young offensive linemen doing more of this unbalanced sets that you've seen this year when it's really got to have it type of run plays. They feel they have a surplus there. I think back to 2011 when we had like Chantrell and a bunch of other guys, maybe a little late, let's say 2012, when we like Eric Flowers came in. Like there's been times where we've had kind of with Stoutland overloads of very big physical offensive linemen. Maybe they weren't ready to play every day, but you would put them on the field for unbalanced lines. I think when you have got to have it runs, you might see some of that as opposed to the blocking tight end. So That's something that I've been hearing, but I do think Miami will look to potentially add a tight end that can be a difference maker, not just a body.
It's funny because with the O-lineman deal, we said it last week. Imagine, you're recruiting. Obviously, you can only really get 5 O-linemen on the field, but you see 7 to 8 of them on the field sometimes for Miami.
Right.
So like that's a nice recruiting pitch. If there's a guy who maybe isn't ready to be a starter, you utilize them one way or another.
And what happens if Rodriguez is at center and now Joel Irvin is at tight end? That's instead of Joel, Rodriguez being the tight end. So that's something to keep an eye on. But I don't anticipate, I think a physical guard offensive line makes sense just to give you more ability to move McCoy over. But I think you're going to see some of these young guys get on the field that way. The tight end, they're looking for impact, not necessarily role players at the moment. This is what I was told. Wide receiver, the 2 guys we've been talking about, Cam Vaughn, Ventrevious Jacobs. I heard they're locked in. Super excited about those guys. Not a big concern that they might, be flaky with the quarterback situation still in flux. Running back, we talked about Fletcher. I think he's still expected to come back. If he does come back, don't expect to see too many changes. I'm not sure running back is a major priority. It's going to be the big focus is quarterback. They're casting a very wide net there. I don't think it's Ty Simpson or bust. Maybe adding another offensive lineman and then potentially a tight end. That's the offensive priorities. We've talked about the defensive priorities a ton. Big time defensive end, maybe a linebacker, maybe a corner, depending how some of these portal things work out after the championship game. And then we've added the kicker. We talked about, I think they'll add the kicker from Northwestern and potentially the kickoff guy from FSU. So Northwestern kicker, more of an inside the 50 guy. FSU kicker, big leg touchback, long kick guy. Someone like that, I could see adding, making that combo happen. But big addition yesterday at defensive tackle, replacing a departing Dante Simpson with Jarquez Carter. Pete, I don't know what you think about that move.
Yeah, well, they're very excited about that one, D. This is a guy that they really wanted badly in the recruiting process last year. I mean, he's full of twitch. He played in a handful of games, more than a handful of games here for Ohio State this season. And again, Dante Simpson, that was something that on the outside looking in, it's an annoying loss because you coached him up this whole year. He played in games. You flipped him from Maryland back, when he was coming out of high school. So there was resources put into Dante Simpson, but Miami feels like they've upgraded here with Jarquez Carter. Not the biggest guy in the world, about 6'1", 300, but this is what Corey Heatherman and I harped on the size of the unit before the season, which again, that was I really didn't realize that Heatherman doesn't want guys that are 310 plus. He does not want that at all. And as the season's gone on here, of course, they've gotten a little banged up, but they've had enough bodies here. And I think between now bringing in Carter, you have your top 3 of Scott, Moten next year. Armando Blunt, I think, plays a lot more inside. And then I'm getting a lot of Keyshawn Stansel buzz right now, D. He's someone that I think came in looking really good after his high school season. He's there on campus now, and you put a lot of money into these freshmen. You need 1 or 2 of them to turn into rotational players for you right off the bat. And I think they believe they have that in Stansel. And then Carter, who just played last year for Ohio State, they think can be in that mix as well.
Yeah, 100%. Stansel, I'm glad you mentioned him. I wanted to talk about some freshmen as well before Ramon jumps on, which I understand he's getting on right now. The guys that have been practicing, I'm told, this is an exact quote. You could take it as fluff. You could take it as however you want, but these first impressions to me are typically pretty good. The guys that are practicing now, in some respects, look freakier than the guys that are preparing to win a national championship physically. That's what I was told. I mean, Jackson Cantwell, Cannon Portis, Dunnigan, all these guys, huge
Milan Paris,
Keyshawn Stansel. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Milan Paris. I posted a picture of him the other day in the Discord. he is every bit of 660, every bit of like for sure 6'5", and I think he's legitimately 6'6".
Yep. He's a big boy, strong, not skinny at all, likes to block, verified 4.4, everything else. What I loved, listen to this quote I got on Samora and Wingo. It was basically, I'm just glad he doesn't play for Indiana. Because he's been wearing the Indiana scout team this week. And apparently he is causing a lot of problems for our defensive backs. So that was the first thing I heard when I asked about the freshman. It's just, I'm glad Samora and Wingo is just pretending to play for Indiana and doesn't actually play for Indiana. So keep an eye on that. We'll keep you updated on the portal as always. You guys know we'll keep you up to date on the latest. And you can always check out CanesInSight.com, by the way, for the written version of that 7.8 million post and counting. Sign up for CanesInSight.com. And real quick, before we bring on Ahmmon Richards, this interview with Ahmmon Richards is brought to you by UHealth. Cover your game with UHealth. If you're an athlete like Ahmmon or just an active person, you know how hard it is to sit on the injured list with pain or injury, maybe even try to hack your own rehab. But if compromising your movement or performance is not an option, call the experts at the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute. Whether it's a league competition with Miami Hurricanes athletics or everyday movement, the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute is the trusted choice for those who demand excellence. Set an appointment today at uhealthsports.com. There he is. Let's bring him in live from what a beautiful living room.
Hey, new crib alert. No,
you go on that piano? You play a little piano out there?
Yeah, man. I'm like that on the keys over there, recording. That background is crazy, D.
You like my wife was tired of me doing the green screen, so she said, "All right, I'm gonna fix this room." So she got the green walls. She got the sign. The sign lights up. I'm trying to fix a couple things so we don't get those squiggly lines. But yeah, we got the sign lighting up. We're working out here, man. It's trying to take it to another level here in 2026. Canes are doing it. We got to do it. But yeah, I see you do it already with your crib. So real quick before we go to Indiana in this matchup, man, just your emotions, what your impressions watching that Ole Miss game. Instant classic.
Instant. I mean, look, when I was watching the game, obviously it has its highs and lows. I think the way we started the game was very good. And I felt like, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. It seems like we're like almost attempting to like go backwards in a way, like we're just trying to find a way to lose. But at the end of the day, like these players, man, they continue fighting. And then, I mean, when it mattered most, like that fourth quarter, like I can only go back and watch the game and just almost skip right to the fourth quarter. Cause I feel like that's when everyone like, really laced the boots up and was like, all right, let's go win this game. And we, just back and forth. And just the way it ended, just like with Carson Beck and, him kind of getting his like justice almost, right? And, 3 minutes left on the clock and everyone in the world is essentially banking on us, losing the game at that moment. And for him to deliver in third down after third down, it felt like big play after big play. And then just to watch him walk through and run through the end zone was like, it seemed like it was like something out of a movie, honestly. Like I was watching and I literally felt like I was watching one of those like high school, like great movies or something. But overall, man, it was a great game. Atmosphere probably was insane. Nail biter, just like your classic, college football playoff game, with everything on the line.
I gotta say, man, talk about the atmosphere. It reminds me, and I really didn't talk about this, and I'm not gonna get too deep into it. But Ole Miss fans, wonderful people, man. You talk about being way better fans than Texas A&M fans, and it's funny because I told a great Ole Miss fan to their face, you guys are great fans, very classy people. I'm sure there are some kids. I think a lot of the kids mess it up for the fan base. A lot of the students. But I told them, I said, you guys are way better than the A&M fan base. And they said, no, they're the most overrated fan base in the SEC. And this is coming from a longtime SEC fan base. So A&M, you've been exposed by me. You're being exposed by the rest of the SEC fan bases. The gig'em is up. The gig'em is up, my friends. Terrible fan base. Overrated.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to know it's fraudulent when it's 110,000 and they damn near can't win the big game in front of all them people.
I will say, are you guys seeing the epidemic of the burner verse accounts here that's happening right now with Indiana?
Yeah, I feel like
what's that about?
The burnerverse. So the burnerverse is, you've never seen, you are familiar with the burnerverse, D, you just don't really know what it is. It's like these kids who have these alternate accounts that really, they will make remarks that are completely off the wall and shouldn't be made. But it's a big thing in Indiana. And they are, a lot of the fan base that Canes fans are interacting with are these burnerverse accounts, and I don't think they understand it. Ahmmon, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. People are getting dragged into a lot of stuff. It was happening with the Ole Miss fan base, but just beware, Canes fans. These are fake accounts. It's real people running them, but it's burner accounts made to drag people into the deep end, man.
Yeah. They're pretty much like it. Let's say like you own a company, right? You're not going to use your legit account. You're going to go create some crazy, wild, fake one, and you're pretty much just spamming and trolling people all day on there, just saying outrageous stuff to, just you're almost like releasing. So that's like what I've kind of noticed. Like almost all their friends I've seen, I haven't really seen like
they're a real fan. I haven't.
Yeah, it's like random Indiana 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. He's like talking crazy. But it's probably the CEO of like some company up there who just, is like, getting it off, I guess, off of this, the trolling. So
did you ever have a burner like when people criticize you? You get a burner like, man, you don't realize, man, his ankles hurt.
AD style, Kevin Durant style.
I think I'm too vocal, man. I speak directly from that blue check mark, which might get to my downfall a little bit, but I don't really care because it's like it is what it is. But I do know there is a lot of people. You'll be surprised. A lot of people got burners, but no, I don't have one. I remember when KD first got caught with his burner. That was a wild time.
So the game like this, just put this in the mindset of these players here, where you obviously a huge game, but you don't play your best and you win, but that was really not the best performance, and that if you played at that level against the subsequent opponent or whoever the next big game is, you'll lose that game, right? And that as a player. What's that like when you are in that situation, coming off a win that you knew probably should have been a loss against a better opponent, or if the ball bounced a certain way?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you look at it. If I'm a player, right there out there, and I've been in those type of games where you squeak by. But that's just like the beauty of football, where you always have the next week to improve, get better, and correct your mistakes. And it's always a lot better to do it when you win the football game versus when you lose and you're going to go home for the summertime. You're going to be thinking about which play you could have made, how you could have done it better. You're going to watch tape. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I like whiffed on this block. We would have won the game. So I think it kind of gets a little bit of a reality check where at this point, I don't think, outside of like what Carson Beck, a lot of our players have been in the national championship game or like even like, on that type of stage. So I think you go in with the mindset that it's 1-0, and this is your last 1-0, last game of the season, all you got, all your focus. I mean, it's for it all, right? And I think we've recognized that, and it's just right now it's just more so cleaning up the mistakes from last game. And you just get one more opportunity to go out and correct those mistakes. And I think we'll be ready for that challenge.
Good question here from Ben. He wants us to ask you, what's it like playing in Hard Rock, or, your home stadium, but you have this exact experience without it being a true home game, just like that Orange Bowl game against Wisconsin.
Yeah, it was different. They had us in I don't know if it makes a difference, but they had us in the Dolphins locker room. I wasn't playing, so I was just more so, I had the meniscus repair and stuff. So I was just like crutching around, just kind of enjoying the whole, environment and stuff. It was a little different. We were still on our like sideline because I think we're still like the home team. So the game day prep wasn't really different. I think we came out of a different tunnel. But it really doesn't change much, to be honest with you. It just looks a little bit of different scenery. Like it's a little weird having like a lot of the other team's fans there cheering just as loud as yours, right? Type of thing. But other than that, I mean, you still playing ball on your home turf in the stadium you've been playing in all year. So that part, I think we have a good advantage, for the game. Plus, I think we're away, so we're going to end up probably being on the other sideline, which may throw people off for a quick second. But at the end of the day, when you're in between the lines, the field don't change. It's just exiting the field is what will be a little different, but it's still the game at the end of the day. Still the same field, same lights, same everything.
You know, every week you come in and talk about Keelan Marion, who you talked about from way back when. And the reason he keeps saying it is because he keeps balling. So we have to talk about him. Now, this game, the biggest performance of his life, one of the biggest probably Kane receiver performances in decades, considering the stakes and what he got accomplished. So brag on your boy here, what you see with Keelan Marion.
Lace your boots, man. Hey, Pete, man, listen, man, at this point, like, they need to just go put me on the staff or something, man, at this point, because like, I mean, how much more do I have to do? Like, how much more? How many times do I got to say a player's like that before him to be like that? Like, why I have to wait like 5-6 months to get these flowers, man? Like, coming into the year, we went to practice. I'm out there and I'm seeing a guy, right, going deep, catching a post route, catching a screen, scoring a touchdown off of it. I'm like, he can play. Like, he's a receiver. But for whatever reason, people were just obsessed with saying, bench him, even though he's not dropping passes like that. He's doing his part. He's wide receiver 3 at the time. And it's just like, I just think people sometimes got to look beyond the surface, man. You got to look beyond it. You can't just look at black and white. Everything ain't just black and white. So I think now, as the season progressed, and, obviously CJ Daniels got banged up a little bit, he stepped into that wide receiver 2 role, and the targets, started, going up. But if you look throughout the season, I mean, he's been pretty solid all year, considering his role and what he was supposed to do for the team. And I'm just happy for him to continue just progressing. Like, he never got down on wide receiver 3, only got 2 targets this game, or, fans are saying I should be benched for another play. Like, none of that took place. He just kept chopping wood. So it's kind of great to see a guy like that in the biggest stage of his life, in like our lifetime, like out there going for over 100 yards, touchdown, like big catches on the last drive. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. If he don't make those catches, we probably in Cancun. Let's just be honest. If he dropped that pass on any of those passes on 3rd down and his 4th down, I mean, we're probably looking at a different outcome. But shout out to him for always staying focused. He didn't have no kick returns this year, any of that, which we said we're going to bring him in for, but he did even better than that. He had a career high in yardage and catches. That's the only thing he did. He went up this draft stock. So shout out to Keelan Marion, man. Another big game coming, so we'll stay tuned, man. But it was great to see him actually, go out there and, kind of prove that he's more than just a gadget guy.
The receivers for Indiana, now we switch gears to Indiana. That to me is the match I'm most concerned about, quite frankly. And look, we played Ohio State. There's no one better than those 2 as far as your top 2 guys. They got 3 guys that I think are NFL. The Becker, I thought he was just kind of like, just like white walk-on dude, friends with Mendoza. But that guy's good. He'll probably play in the league. He's running by guys. He's going over guys. So to me, that's a big challenge, is dealing with these wide receivers. How do you stack up Indiana's wide receiver core? How do you see that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, the one person to me that threatens you vertically, and you can tell the way Mendoza even throws him the football, is the guy Becker, number 80. The other receivers, he tends to throw more like back shoulder, almost 50-50 balls when he's throwing to these other guys, like number 13.
Surratt.
Yeah, Surratt. Like, those guys aren't blazers, but they got great hands. So he's putting the ball on them. But that number 80, yeah, like, Mendoza is throwing it out there and letting him run underneath it. And I mean, he's doing a good job. I think his contested catch rate is something crazy. Like, I think he damn near catch all of them. So big body. I mean, not big body. I'm sorry. He's tall, lanky, can run. So I think, we have to have the IQ and awareness of when he's going vertical, like, you can't run in phase with him. You're going to have to like be a little bit more physical at the point of the catch. And then when you're guarding a guy like Surratt and number 3, like, Mendoza is looking to throw the back shoulder fade or more of a 50-50 ball when he's targeting those guys. He's putting it on them. Number 80, he's putting it out there for him to run underneath. So if I'm a cornerback, like, I got to have that like thought in the back of my mind, whoever I'm guarding, so because 13, like, I've seen like the most back shoulder catches I think I've seen a receiver catch. Like he might got a whole highlight tape of straight back shoulders, like literally, so that, but I think they're all talented though. So we just gotta, focus in and on our technique and just, play with our eyes. I think this game is gonna be huge.
When you look at Mendoza and the offense, Ahmmon, are you? I mean, is it just got to get pressure on him? Is that the only way to do it? I mean, got to hit him. I mean, it sounds simple, but is there any other way to slow them down, in your opinion?
So, in my opinion, right, and I just looked at the teams that are similar to us, not necessarily like talent-wise, but as far as like the trenches and the way we call our defense, like obviously Penn State is the first one that kind of comes to mind. If you like what I'm noticing, if you just get pressure on him and he does tend to hold onto the football, because I think their offense is, I don't want to say predetermined, but I think they go off what you allow them to do. Like if you're in cover 3, like they have, like as soon as the ball snap, he knows where to go with the football. I think Mendoza is very sharp and smart in that aspect, and he gets the ball out when he like is 100% certain on what you're in. So I think disguising the looks, getting pressure, you're going to allow him to hold the ball a little bit, and then I think he kind of starts chopping his feet, and it's kind of going to sound crazy, but if you really think back to like Carson Beck, like midway in the season when he kind of started getting a little flustered with his feet a little bit, when he started kind of changing the picture and getting a little bit pressure, I see like similarities in that aspect where Ohio State, he's kind of taking some like questionable sacks where that first read ain't there, and he a little bit kind of, off script a little bit. Yes, he's mobile, but I think that's just the key to the game, man. Like our edge rushers, Ruben Bay and Mesidor, are gonna have to do a great job of like making him feel like he's under pressure and having him like pat the ball, kind of scramble around a little bit. And I think that'll be our success. But if he sits back there with a clean pocket, like you see in that Oregon game, he's gonna tear you apart. Like he has arm strength, he has a zip on the ball. I mean, he has the IQ, so that would be my key to the game. I like our edge rushers, they're gonna have to do what they've been doing all season. They're gonna have to cause hell.
I don't know if did we get to this this paid comment here?
It's a great comment. I want to get to it. Yeah, about the past year should prove that Morrow's been spot on with the evals. Most were the top ranked guys in the portal. Certainly Keontae Scott, Jacoby Thomas. I think they were like high 3-star type of guys. Maybe Keontae Scott was even lower as far as the portal Toure guys that really were counting on here. So I think that is that's been huge. Ahmmon, you mentioned cover 3, which I know we play a bunch, and we played a bunch against Ole Miss. When you're trying to attack cover 3, look at how Indiana might attack us. Is that just like flats, trying to get down the seam to where the safety isn't? Like, how do you attack the cover 3?
So like usually you're gonna have like almost like a bending post, called like the seam route, right? Like usually it's like 7 steps, breaking in, flat across. Like you kind of want to be in between the safety corner, like in that little zone, in that like top of that triangle. And I think in our defense, that's like one of the almost holes where if you watch an Ole Miss game, teams has done it. Just throughout the season, a lot of teams has hit us on those like seam routes right over the linebackers, because obviously our linebackers aren't jumping up, catching interceptions or nothing like that. That and then just like those like 10-yard hitches at the sideline where they kind of put 2 up on that nickel corner. You got the inside slot guy running like a hitch, outside guy running like a little bit deeper hitch, and then the quarterback is going off. Like if you're inside, he's going outside. If you go outside, he's throwing it so they make you pick. The thing, like I think I've said before, is that a lot of quarterbacks kind of get impatient with that, and they eventually try it or they force one. And that's when we seen Jacoby Thomas come down and almost pick it last game, because eventually quarterback's going to want to try to force that pass in there. So I just think it's like we're gonna have to just play better with our eyes as far as like the linebacking crew and the passing game, and just try to recognize some of these like little quick hitches, man. Because if you watch last game, even like Wesley, when he was in space, like they were almost like going at him in a way where they're running like the little hitch right next to him, but he was getting, his depth was too far and the ball's like right there next to him, right? But they weren't seeing it. So I can anticipate Indiana run a lot of RPO hitches, seam routes, Um, a lot of stuff like going right behind our boundary safeties who usually come up in like that hitch curl area. They try to like hit like a little seam route right over the top of that as well. Mendoza does have the accuracy and touch to make those throws. So I just really think, man, Heatherman has to do a really good job of like changing the picture post snap to make him think for that extra second. I do think that extra second or two is enough time to allow our pressure and our guys, our elite, the ends to get home.
I'm tagging out. I got joined the ACC network here for a call with McLean and Graham. Let's check that out. I'm tagging out to Pete and Ahmmon to finish this one. Appreciate you, Ahmmon. I know you're sticking around, but I'm taking off. I'll be back later. Shout out to Miami Hurricane teams for MiamiHCS.com, promo code InSight20. Get your playoff gear, get your championship gear. You don't know when we're going to be back. Got to enjoy those dubs we got on the way. Get the gear to commemorate it. So, Pete, the mic is yours. Ahmmon,
yeah,
always good. Go Canes.
D, tell Eric, thank you for never switching sides, man.
No, they're loyal to the soil, man. That's ACC love. That's deep. But we're the ACC right now. We're carrying the conference, so it'd be nice to have a third national championship in the conference. But hey, let's keep it rolling.
Yes, sir.
See you guys.
Alrighty.
Couple more paid comments I want to get to here. Big Butt Jones says, has Pete given his initial thoughts about the matchup and confidence level?
Let's go.
I got some crazy thoughts, man. I got some crazy thoughts. I think the Canes win by double digits. I love this matchup. Ahmmon, I love this matchup, my boy.
I know why. Hey, I know why you like. Listen, those trenches aren't like they say they are. They aren't like they say they are.
They haven't been tested. They have not been tested in the trenches the same way they're about to get tested, man. If we can run the ball on them like we've been able to run the ball on pretty much everyone this playoffs, I love how this thing sets up. I really do. I that could be a little too confident in me. I've been called many things, but at the end of the day, I fully believe in this team.
Yeah.
To go out there and win this game. I really do. Under all the circumstances, I think they're going to come out so locked in, man. I really do. I think they're going to be tired of hearing about how well prepared Indiana is, about how well coached they are. And remember, we talk about the players' motivation, Ahmmon. You got to think Miami's coaching staff is fired up because this would end any and all narrative there is out there about what this coaching staff's abilities are. I think people believe in Heatherman now at this point. And I think Mario's gotten over the hump with a lot of that stuff from the narrative. But you can't tell me a single thing about being out coached or Mario can't go. Line it up now against these dudes who are 7.5 point favorites against the guy who everyone's calling the greatest coach since Nick Saban, who's getting the most out of his players that we've ever seen, and go out there and make a statement. And this isn't just the players. I gotta think the coaching staff is fired up.
Yeah, and just to your point, like being the underdogs, like I do notice a trend where when we are like projected to lose, like the players do play with a different edge and focus versus when we are almost guaranteed to win or people are like telling us how great we are, right? And I think this kind of mixes in well where I think we're the guy who like we look for the big, like we look around, like you ever seen a person in a fight, like we're looking for the biggest one in the crowd versus the little skinny rinky-dink guy. Like we're playing around with that guy, but the guy that looks the part, like we're locked in, focused. And I just, that's how I see the guys, man. I like, what more can get you ready than playing for a national championship? Like what more? Like what other game could you possibly play in where you're ultimately focused, you're giving your 100% all game because it's the last 4 quarters for the rest of the year for everything. This ain't a bowl game. This ain't like a, Russell Athletic or Pinstripe or something, right? Nah, this is for a national championship. So I do think we're going to see a different energy and focus from the guys that we really haven't seen. And just like as far from effort, like I think you're going to see like almost like that max effort all game, guys really giving out their bodies, because It's the last game. It's for everything, man.
Yeah, you got to think the emotions are going to be, I mean, ridiculously high for this one, right? That's what I think. It's almost like how do they make sure those emotions don't get the best of them?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and to me, like as a player, like if I'm looking at Indiana, like what am I what am I really fearing in a way? And I'm not saying they're not a good team or a great team. That's like
not in a disrespectful way,
yeah,
but I think if you're a Miami's perspective, you just beat Ohio State, who went toe to, and you didn't just beat them, you really dominated the game, and you went toe to toe with them.
Right. Like only thing that I can think of where guys just have to know is that they have to be ultra disciplined because the other team is. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes from like talent for talent, like you're not looking at the other side and you're not looking at Jeremiah Smith, or you're not looking at, you know what I'm trying to say? Like a crazy talented roster, you know, like you're looking at a very disciplined, like veteran team that play very well and very fundamentally sound, kind of like a Patriots team. If I think of like kind of back in the day where they don't got superstars all over the place, but they got guys who are going to be in the right spot every single time. That's kind of how I see it. So you're not looking at it from like, man, this guy might have more talent than me. You're looking at it like this guy going to do the right thing every play, and I got to do the same. So I think that aspect is going to bump down like that intent, like that like too hype, you know, where you're going to be out of control. But that control violence, what we've been playing with all year, I think that's what we tap into. And just the outright disrespect from just like the whole national media and just, you know, all the Miami haters just pulling for Indiana and pretty much giving us no chance to win a football game like they've done in almost every playoff game. I just think it give you that extra edge, man. And I think that's what we're going to see, honestly. Like, that's my true opinion.
J.I. Diaz says, last game, it seemed like the Tavern was open a lot. That dude was a beast. We did not talk about him enough before the game. We talked about the receivers. We talked about Lacey, obviously Chambliss. But that's a pro right there.
Yeah,
he was nice.
Yeah, they kept getting us in the they kept putting they're doing the hollow read where you got the whip route in the flat, and then you got the little corner route coming on top of it with the clear out, you know, go route or post route, whichever one they run. We didn't have an answer for that. And like I said, you know, when you put something on film, like you just got to bank on another team, you know,
trying to do something,
trying to mimic it. So I'm sure we're gonna the adjustment, like they did it like kind of repeatedly. So I think, you know, we can go back and, you know, if we see that same look or formation or they run it once, I think we'll have a fix for it. I was hoping one of the corners like read it after the first few times and came off their receiver and booked it. And O'Connor started to do it, except the ball was just so high that he paused and thought it was an overthrow. And he just came up, made the tackle. But they kind of started picking up on it a little bit. And then, you know, obviously Jabari Antoine is a young guy. And I just, you know, obviously he wasn't going to, you know, be that experienced to like kind of read that and take the chance to leave his guy wide open and go make a game, you know, clinching type interception.
Gambit here. It looks like these are his keys to the game. He says run for over 150, 2 sack Fernando Mendoza 4+ times and consistently get to him. Limit them to 100 or less rushing. Shut down the big wide receiver to 50 yards less. No touchdowns. Hey, listen, if all of this happens, I feel great about Miami's chances. More likely than not, as great as they are, I don't know that you'll be able to do all of these things. But I like Miami to limit their run game. I really do. Yeah.
I mean, they do a lot of different runs. Like I've seen inside zone, outside zone, counter. Like they do a lot of runs for sure. I think you get them behind the sticks, get them like one dimensional, which I think if any team of, you know, football, right, you get them one dimensional, it's like a lot easier to beat them. But in this game, you stop that run and kind of have it's gonna sound crazy, but if you have Mendoza out there trying to win the football game, like I just like where we sit, man. Like, but if you can't stop the run and they're running for 6-7 yards a carry, you're gonna be in for a long night, you know, because now they got you one dimensional, you know, for sure. So, but yeah, control that line of scrimmage, man. I mean, we've been saying this throughout every playoff game. Like, it's won in the trenches. Like, the best team with the best trenches have won. And that's where we end up, obviously, with Indiana, Miami in the national championship game.
Ahmmon, we should have asked you this earlier probably, but have you had a chance to watch the portal additions at wide receiver, Cam Vaughn and Vandrevius Jacobs?
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I think Cam Vaughn, West Virginia, former West Virginia wide receiver, I was saying he reminds me of a faster, not a faster, but almost like CJ Daniels, but not the same body type. Like CJ Daniels got more of like a Lawrence Cager like stride and like kind of style. And I think Cam Vaughn gives you like a
he looks a little looser. He looks like a looser athlete.
He has more he has more like flexibility, I don't know. Yeah, he has more vibes to him, and I definitely an NFL prospect in my eyes. First thing that jumped out to me on film though was his hands. Like, he has great hands. Like, he plucks the football out the air. I mean, I've seen some over the head catches, all types of different catches. I mean, contested ones as well. I feel like he runs almost every route in the route tree as well, which is a huge thing. I've seen hitch, digs, post, all the whole nine. So who else? The South Carolina.
Yeah, I like him.
He is like in my opinion, like your deep threat. Like, you can tell, I mean, average 17 yards a catch in SEC. I mean, that kind of tells you he's more of your downfield threat or a guy that has real speed. And I have no idea what his 40 is, but you can just tell on the tape that he definitely has some wheels for sure.
Big games against good teams too.
Yeah. So listen, I don't want to talk bad about Lenore Sellers, right? But just understanding the dynamics at quarterback there, and as far as like from an accuracy standpoint, and like him not being really the number one receiver, like, I think he's done a pretty good job averaging 17 yards.
So you're taking our unknown QB over Lenore Sellers is what you're saying.
Hey man, I'm just saying, like, I just think,
I know what you're saying.
Like, he's not in the best offensive situation in college football or in the SEC, right? But he's still very productive if you go by the numbers. Like, you can work with that. You can work with that. And I think we've always needed like that burner on offense. I think a few years ago we brought in that one guy from like Louisville who was supposed to be like really fast.
Yeah, Tyler Harrell from
Columbus. And that, because but that didn't work out, obviously. But I think having like that real, that
you also didn't really have. I mean, you also really didn't have a quarterback with him.
That's very true. Yeah. When you say it like that, I mean that's very valid.
No, I get what you're saying. He was brought in and expected to be, and he still got to look in the NFL because he was like a 4-2 guy, a legit 4-2 guy.
You feel me? So yeah, they say Vaughn in the comment. They say Vaughn runs a 4.4. I don't see. Listen, I don't know. I don't see a 4.4 on my with my eyes. Like, maybe he don't run. Maybe the training isn't there. I don't know where that time's coming from. But from my eye test, when I see him pulling away from guys who are running full speed, like, that tells me you have like actual like game speed. Like, you're electric. So. What is he, a sophomore? How many years he has?
Yeah, he's gonna have a couple more years left, and I think Jacobs might have. Yeah, Jacobs is a sophomore also.
Yeah. Okay.
So you really can get. That's the other part of it. You knew what it was with CJ Daniels and Marion coming in as 1 year pickups. You're gonna get multiple years potentially out of these guys. I love that.
Yeah. And for the people wondering, right? I'm not saying these guys are gonna be like ACC first team demons, right? Once I see it in person, I'll come back with more like, conviction, right? But from what I've seen, like, I'm not like upset about the pickups. I can see why they took these guys based off their attributes in their film and like what they've done in college already. Like, that's a great addition to a room where you're pretty much gonna have all young guys. Like, Malachi Tony is literally a true freshman this year. Dalen Upshaw, got in at times, got hurt, right? Josh Moore, same thing, kind of got in a few games, rotational piece a little bit. I mean, what other, like, that's really it. I mean, everyone else is going to go to the NFL or, declare, or out of eligibility. Tony Johnson, I don't know. I think he may be leaving. I have no idea what that situation is, but
Yeah, Johnson.
JoJo's the other guy, right? And so
Yeah.
that's 4 guys, and you're losing like 6. You get what I'm trying to say? So you got to bring in that, like I said last offseason, like I said, you got to bring in guys that got game experience, right? You can't rely on just 4 true freshmen coming in, and that they can, get one of them might pop, right? Out of the guys that's coming, 1 or 2 might, be in that rotation. But you can't go into a full football season, like I said, with a small room, right? It takes 1 or 2 guys to get nicked up or roll their ankle, right? And then you're looking crazy, So I like the 2 additions, guys that got to get game experience. And it's good for those young guys to kind of get acclimated and learn like how to practice, how to take notes, how to watch film. Like you learn a lot from your older guys in the room, man. So I like the addition so far, and I don't think we finish with those 2 pickups, in my opinion. I don't know, but just off numbers, like we probably got to add like 2 more guys.
I would say 1 more could be in play for sure. 2, I don't know, because remember they have a lot of money in the class too with a Milan Paris, a Van Spafford, Samorian Wingo's already on campus. I'm expecting him to be a big time player for them. Ahmmon, one last thing here before I let you go. I wanted to bring this up. Our boy Green Tree All-American, who's in the comments a lot. He might have been in the comments this show too. He tweeted this out today. And I don't know if you were on the show when I was talking about this a few weeks ago, but I was definitely talking about it with D about when Mark Richt would make these stops at the parks locally. And as you see here, the tweet says, shout out to Mark Richt getting out in the community in 2016. The fruits of this labor paying off in 2026 as a young Malachi Tony stands next to him on the right. Look at that right there.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. This pick is insane for 2
crazy,
reasons.
Right? I think I was there. I think I was because I would go to all of these. It's just crazy. It's crazy to think he was there, man.
Like,
unbelievable.
This is what's crazy. This is what's crazy is that I remember Coach Rick telling us, like, going to these camps, like how much it would impact, and like his vision of like, being back in the community, getting the youth, like wanting to like watch Miami football and love Miami football. And a big part of that was these camps, right? You're going out there, you got Mark Walton, I went to the Palm Beach one, right? And you got all these young kids who are looking up to you, and who knows what like impact like this camp could have played into anyone in this picture. And obviously Malachi Tony, fast forward like 9-10 years later, he's literally damn near number 1 in almost every category as receivers. Yeah. Like it's crazy, like thinking back at that moment. And like I remember like looking at the kids like doing like the drills and stuff, but my mind couldn't fathom like at what point these kids were going to be like, what I'm trying to say, in college, because it's just the time is so far away. But it's like insane to see like he was dead on the money. What Coach Rick was saying, like this was his vision, and obviously you're not going to get everyone, but the superstars that you just got, from a camp and just progressing Miami forward the right way, like it just paid his dues. And
no, he 100% Mark Richt is and a lot of people give him his flowers for what he did here, but you and I both know he really made this program serious about football again, in terms of like realizing what it could be when the proper resources are put forward. Now that's why I'm always on the Manny Diaz was the worst thing to happen in this program, because Manny reversed everything, and a lot of that was Blake James too, Julio Frank, that who didn't really care about football, all these dynamics. But like Manny set back everything that Richt had put forward the last 3 years, and he got sick at the end, so obviously that was a big part of it. But we were so lucky. Mark Richt at that time was, Georgia fans said he couldn't win the big one. He hadn't shown that he could, right? He couldn't really get over the hump there. But Miami was so lucky at that time to have him come in and stabilize the situation.
Yeah, I mean, coach. Yeah, coach? I think everyone can agree to that. What Coach Rick was building was like definitely like trending Miami forward. Obviously, unfortunate, he got sick and stuff like that, and kind of, you know, things kind of sputter a little bit, and then the whole DS thing. I think it just, to your point, just like, when it came to, I even tweeted about this, like the former players, like, trying to come around, and it was like this weird, like almost no access type of style. It was like this weird energy, and it just took away everything Coach Rick was trying to bring back, to your point. And I think everyone could see that, and then just the on-field results just made it worse on top of that. And obviously, we brought in Coach Chris Ball, and I mean, he said it out his own mouth, right? Like the type of guys we even had, just everything was just jacked up, and he had to come and clean up and pretty much gut it to the bottom, and rebuild this thing the right way. And here we are, what, 4 years later, in year 4, playing for a national championship. So who was right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
people were trolling. I remember people trolling Mario when he said pick your kids up in the whole 9, and people came and was joking on what they said. SMU, they took the team at SMU and got an ACC championship. Yeah, well, we're in a national championship. So what do you have to say? It took a little while, but we got it right. That's it. Got to have a little patience. Just
the foundation. The foundation. It was built on the real stuff, and that's what I said after we beat Ohio State. That's the only way you can win those sort of games is if you have. You can't. I know the game's only 60 minutes, but you don't get to that point, and you don't get through that war without having the foundation that Cristobal has built here.
You want to know when I knew we weren't serious? When we literally took a plane to the Alabama game in Atlanta, and watching Alabama come out the tunnel, and watching us come out the tunnel, and then we're celebrating after a turnover down there in the 30, was when I was like, bro, what are we doing? Like, this is not like we're like almost like a joke. Like we're it's kind of like the kid in school who laughs at himself and jokes on himself because he want everyone else to think like it's funny. Like, that's what it felt like. I'm like, bro, why are we celebrating getting our teeth kicked in on national television, a kickoff opener for the season, and we out here treating it like a jamboree game? Like, are we for real? And that's kind of when I was like mentally like I just couldn't really do it. I didn't go to no home games and none of that after that, bro. I was like, I'm done, bro.
Me neither.
I can't do it.
I was there was allegations of me being banned from campus. I was on campus every day. I just didn't want anything to do with that with the program at that point, man. Golly.
It was bad, man. So just to see how we where we are today, and like if you just go back to like what Mario was saying in those press conferences, and even year after year, like he wasn't lying. It just took a little time to get there, just understanding what he had to do to get the program from out the damn cemetery.
Well, I think a lot of people thought Mario was using Manny as an excuse as to why, they lost to Middle Tennessee State early on and had some of the struggles they had. But I think it was just more like he was trying to let people realize how bad the situation really was. And by the way, the locker room, this is when NIL was starting. The locker room was so messed up at that point, Ahmmon, that it was not ready for the NIL era. So yeah. you that was the end of the Manny era, and then Mario has to come in and clean all of that up. It's gonna take a couple years, as we saw.
Yeah. But we're here, and it feels great, man. It feels great. I mean, I know we got fans I don't even know what you want to call them. We got people in the fan base, that essentially switch teams, all type of stuff. They pulling for, they're at Duke now with Manny or wherever, SMU or Red. Like they literally threw down their flag, and it's like those same people are now on the timelines trying to join the parade. And it's like sometimes, man, you gotta have faith, man. Like you just can't bail. If you're a true Cane, like you can't bail because the coach you don't really like is coaching because you like some former coach, right? I mean, the reasonings just weren't really justifying, this was a true rebuild, like your classic rebuild. And I think he said give him what I think he said. Year 4 to 5 is when we should be like contending, right? And I mean, he dead on the money. I don't know what he's dead on the money. I mean, you know.
Hey,
but in the comments, y'all know the people, man. I'm not saying no names. We're not doing it, but y'all know, man, who was pushing propaganda on Spaces, who was always looking to be right, man, and those people came to the altar.
Well, we've said it before. It happens a lot. It becomes people cheering for what, you know, for wanting to be right. I think it was happening with like Keelan Marion earlier in the year, like when he dropped, you know, like
thank you.
Just because
one drop pass there, he sucked. Get him out the game.
When it happens both ways too. I mean, look, I give JoJo a ton of respect for sticking with it, and he's still getting snaps in this point of the season, blocking his you know what off, playing hard, right? But I don't hear people saying we need to get JoJo the ball more right now.
And for me personally, like you'll never hear me saying that because I understand where he's at on the mental side of things.
We got paid comments, man. We gotta bring paid comments up, man.
Big Groove, man. Like you come to the altar, man. Like I've been fighting with this man for about 2 years now. Last 2 years about the Mario. And matter of fact, not him, but people were literally saying, "Oh, AR, you a Miami homer. You never say nothing negative about Miami." This going into this season. Now do you see why? We in a damn natty. I knew what I was looking at. They literally like, you never say nothing bad. I'm like, there's really not that much bad to say. Like we got offense, defense. Carson Beck, not trash like y'all trying to per se. Like I'm watching him throw the football in practice. Like he's a really good quarterback. Just got to get acclimated. You know, defense was like we got talent all over the field. I brought up Mesidor. They said, "Oh, Mesidor, he can't stay healthy." I'm like, okay, well, if you're gonna go off the pass, like I'm pretty sure we can all bring up some in the past. Like, what are we doing right now? Like, let's talk about the current. Let's talk about this year. And Lordy behold, we playing for a national championship. While SMU beat us, they was on the timeline talking about, SMU, they're gonna win the ACC. Look, Mario, not SMU and Cancun, and we in the natty. Louisville, but the Louisville game, they in Cancun too. Like,
listen,
come on, man.
Time reveals all, man. I'm just glad this team, and we'll when this season's over, win or lose, we'll look back on it and really break everything down once again. But the way that they flipped things around in the middle of the season was crazy.
Yeah, man. Now shout out to Groove. Look, Groove is one of those characters where like he picks a side and he like almost goes to war for just being on that side, right? But he's come to the altar since, he's made his tweet saying Mario proved him wrong. So we moving past that. But man, I was trying to tell him, just have faith, stay the course. But I get it. But shout out to all the Miami Hurricane fans who stuck beside Mario, stuck beside the program, through all the ugliness, the Syracuse game last year, right? Georgia Tech, Louisville this year, SMU, right? We still believed, and people called us crazy for having faith and believing. And this is why, it's never over till it's over.
All right, Ahmmon, appreciate your time as always. Next Tuesday, we will be flying high. Hopefully, man. Hopefully, it'll be the morning after we're crowned national champs and win number 6. So,
hey, Pete, real quick, I saw a comment in here, and it was about the Milan Paris kid, right? I don't think they watch the show. I said I think Milan Paris is going to be the best freshman. Possibly, I think he's going to have more of an impact day one because I think he has freakish talent. So whoever was in the comments who said about the Milan Paris, like, I don't think you missed a show where I said I think he's the freak one out of the whole group. But
there you go. Well, I'll take that to the bank, man. Ahmmon knows his stuff about wide receivers.
Come on, man. I don't miss.
AR, appreciate you, man. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, man. Go Canes.
Go Canes. Great stuff there from Ahmmon Richards. As always, just want to wrap things up here. As keep it locked, man. You know, some more news will happen today, and we'll be popping off on live. I wanted to shout out Lomelo's Meat Market. Hit lomelos.com for fresh Wagyu beef delivered to your door. If you're local, you have the storefront here, right by Dadeland, 9810 South Dixie Highway. If you're ordering online, promo code CIS10 for 10% off your order. You get the discount in store by mentioning CanesInSight as well. See that beautiful tomahawk on the grill. If you're going to the game and got a tailgate, a special occasion or not, Lomelos. And then, of course, if you're going to be at home watching, this is the only way to do it for the national championship as Miami goes and wins national title number 6. So check out lomelos.com. Yeah, guys, we'll be here later today at some point. I'll be hopping on another show. D is doing his ACC network hit right now. So keep it locked here on CanesInSight. Hit that like and subscribe. Go Canes.